we have a very exciting podcast for you this week. Sling and Stone, a YouTuber that I play videos here from time to time, has just released an update about the Third Temple, and you really need to see it. It's about 10 minutes, and after that I also have some information about the red heifers I want to share with you. There is a lot to cover, so let's just jump right in.
There is some news on a potential update of the Third Temple being rebuilt in Jerusalem. Now, I'll read a few prophecies in relation to that before we watch this video. This person lives in Jerusalem. Supposedly, they're building something at a location for the Third Temple or a viewing platform to see into it, something along these lines. I'll play the video here in just a moment, but I do want to play a couple videos first. This is just Benjamin Netanyahu walking through a tunnel that's underground in East Jerusalem. Controversial because some of the Muslims have said that they believe this tunnel will cause the Al-Aqsa Mosque to collapse, and then after it collapses, the Jews will take it back over and build the Third Temple. Somehow the Third Temple will be rebuilt. I'll let this video play while I read the proof of that. And it's found all throughout the Old and the New Testament. In Acts 15:16, it says that the tent, after this, I will return and rebuild David's fallen tent. Its ruins I will rebuild and I will restore it. In Revelation 11:1-2, I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar and count the worshippers there, but exclude the outer court. Do not measure it because it has been given to the Gentiles. There's many prophecies, old and new, that reference this taking place. In Exodus 25:8, then have them make a sanctuary for me and I will dwell among them. That was in regards to the first temple. And then we have even other Old Testament prophecies that talk about a new temple being rebuilt, talking about Jerusalem being rebuilt, which we have seen. Again, Jerusalem wasn't even in control for the last 2,000 years after the destruction in 70 AD by the Gentiles, the times of the Gentiles, which have been fulfilled, told to us by Jesus in Matthew 24. In Matthew 24, Jesus also says he finds this prophecy in the book of Daniel so important that he reminds him, when you see the abomination of desolation taking place, then flee. This is something to watch for. Isaiah 54:11 says that the city is afflicted, but that God will rebuild it with its stones. Ezekiel 36:33, this is what the sovereign Lord says. On the day I cleanse you from all your sins, I will resettle your towns, and the ruins will be rebuilt. We've seen these things take place as Israel has taken over control of Israel once again. So the prophecies are moving in that direction. Of course, the Antichrist will stand in that Third Temple and declare to be God. That is the abomination of desolation, again, highlighted again by Jesus himself. So how will that take place exactly? And during October 7th, we were seeing missiles flying and hitting pretty darn close to Al-Aqsa. What if one of those missiles just went on a wrong course and smacked right into the Al-Aqsa Mosque or the Temple Mount? Wouldn't it be hard to imagine that happening? Now, of course, we are the true temple of God. The Bible makes that clear, but these things have to take place in order to progress into the future. So the Jewish people look on Jesus and on the one they pierced and say, they mourn for him as an only son. That's an Old Testament prophecy. I mean, all this stuff fits into place. And Romans 11 even says, how great is the majesty of God and his wonders and his power to lay out the future events, and his ways are past finding out. That's how complex he is in laying out the scenario where the Jews get the revelation of God, and then from there, their rejection of Jesus, salvation came to the Gentiles, and then through the unfolding of all these other prophecies into the future, they will long for the Lord again. They will be driven to jealousy by our relationship with God, and again, they'll look on the Lord Jesus, the one whom they pierced, and mourn for him as one mourns for an only son. Again, that's why Romans says it's beyond comprehension how good God is to have things play out in a scenario where as many people as possible who truly have a heart towards God can look and see the truth of him and the truth of Jesus Christ. Now, this video came out not too long ago. Again, they're moving in the direction of building this Third Temple in many ways. So we'll watch this and then I'll play this video again of new information coming out from Jerusalem.
The operation on October 7th was called Storm Al-Aqsa, and that is Al-Aqsa. It's a mosque that is sitting on top of where the first and second temple stood over 2,000 years ago, right here in Jerusalem. Well, I have good news for the whole world. There's a rainbow on top of it right now, which is a sign that God gave to Noah that he'll never destroy the world again. And not only will he not destroy the world again, but there will be, in the very near future, the third temple, the Beit HaMikdash. When the Mashiach comes, he will rebuild the Beit HaMikdash right there where that is standing, and the whole world will experience a generation of peace and prosperity. Contrary to what they want you to believe, that it will be a time of war, it's going to be a beautiful time where all the nations of the world will come right here, and they're going to pray and serve the one above in peace and harmony and prosperity. And that's truly what the Jewish people are hoping and wishing for. People forget.
How mind-blowing is that? That literally the prophecies, first off, even in the Old Testament, that somehow the Jewish people don't see, that there will be a time of false peace, and then within that, the Antichrist will cut off that peace. The sacrifices will be cut off. He'll declare to be God, and then the tribulation and the wrath of God comes upon the earth. And that is exactly what this man, this Jewish man, is saying. When they build the third temple, it won't be a time of war and destruction. It will be a time of peace. They're literally looking for a Messiah. They're looking for someone to come to bring a time of peace. And that's exactly what the Bible prophesies is going to happen. Somehow they don't see that. And that is just shocking to see. What we do know is that God, again, has told us their hearts are hardened, their eyes are blinded, many of them, so salvation could have come to the Gentiles. But they chose that route as well because, again, they saw Jesus come, just like the owner of the vineyard sent his son and thought truly they will believe in him, and they rejected him just as they rejected the prophets before him, which spoke about him. They have such a great love for Abraham. Abraham rejoiced to see the day of Jesus, and they crucified him. Again, all part of God's plan had to happen this way. There has to be an atonement for sin, but it's just amazing to see that this is exactly how this is unfolding. This video is interesting. This is in relation to, is this where the third temple will be rebuilt? Is this where they're building a look tower to watch into it? When she mentions the institute across the street who has the articles for the third temple, that's of course the Temple Institute. And then you'll even see in this video a area in Jerusalem where they're putting up a sign that says the temple is this way. They're moving this direction, and just like they're looking for a man of peace and a time of peace to come, similarly, they're looking for this third temple, which will be rebuilt. Very clear, this isn't a spiritual thing or something else. This is a physical third temple that will be rebuilt. And yeah, pretty amazing to see that we're moving in this direction. The poster of this on TikTok is I.am.redeemed7, and we'll see this again coming out of Jerusalem.
That the third temple is being built or is already built right
now. Move it here.
If you don't think that the third temple is being built or is already built right now, I have some news for you. There is already the infrastructure in place to support a very rapid, and they're already putting everything in place right now. Check this out. I live in Jerusalem, and I'm going to show you right now that it is happening. And in fact, what you see here,
I think it skipped there, but she said before, or maybe I saw it in another one saying, they have the infrastructure. They're building this site where they could build the third temple rapidly, quickly. Again, some Jews meet and they gather together and they carve the stones for the third temple. They have the stones. They have the things that are going to be put into it. They could build it very quickly. Crazy.
Is a chairlift that they are putting in to the old city in Jerusalem. It's going to look like this. They're building a whole building. It's called the Kotel elevator. They're building a whole building to take people, see that? They're building a chairlift to take people up to the Temple Mount when the third temple is there. And so they have this whole area under construction. I've been here for like a year. They've had a wall there. You can hear the jackhammering during the day. They're ready right here. And then we also have this development. They made road signs that say Harvet Hashem, which means the house of God. Like they're directing people to the third temple already. Like they've already got the signs up. You can see like the Jerusalem sign above it. and then Bet El above that. Like, so this is on the road. I think this is the road to the Dead Sea. So they're already putting all this stuff in place. There's already Jews going up to the Temple Mount and praying, and this has become like a regular thing. And there's also like an institute where it's right across from the chairlift I just showed you, where they have all the stuff for the temple already, like that goes inside the temple that they use to perform all the rituals from Leviticus. So if you guys want, I can do a video. I actually just went there not that long ago, and I can post a video on that. Accept Jesus, because he's coming back, and he is not going to be the one that sits in this temple. Read Daniel, the book of Daniel, chapter 9. It is not going to be the Messiah who sits in this temple. It's going to be the Antichrist. So do not worship the dude who goes to this temple. We won't be here for it, because we'll be in heaven with Jesus at the wedding feast. But just FYI, if you want to get on board that train, accept Jesus into your heart, because time's running out, y'all.
Absolutely. That's exactly how things are going to play out. And again, people need to be very vigilant as we head into the future, which is why I talk about many supernatural things and things along these lines, because not only will there be a man of peace, a political guy who comes on the scene and takes over in such a way that all the problems are being fixed and there's no more war, there's no more problems. Not only that, but his helper, the false prophet, and them together will be performing signs and miracles. So miracles will be performed. The world will have a time of peace. Things will get better. People won't be fighting like they are anymore. Of course, the entire world will follow after this person, but it will again be to their demise, as it leads to the point where he declares to be God, ends the peace treaty. We'll see his true identity. He's the Antichrist, and the Great Tribulation is beginning.
So, what about the red heifers? And what about the Al-Aqsa Mosque? Here too is something very interesting. Let's start with the heifers. We know that October 7th was in response to the imminent ceremony with these heifers. If it wasn't for October 7th and then all-out war with Hamas, Hezbollah, and now with Iran, I have no doubt they would have already performed the ceremony. Without a doubt, it is coming though. Many of us thought it was going to be Passover this year, but again, war was in the way. So does this mean the window for the ceremony taking place this year is closed? No, in fact the next window could have implications for the rapture. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute.
So I just asked, are they here? Can we see them? That starts going up, the curtains open, there's the red heifer. Wow, they're alive and well again in Israel, and they're beautiful. All the time I get emails, I get phone calls, I get letters from people. The red heifer, the red heifer, the red heifer. Well, I am in Israel, in Shiloh. There are the red heifers. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back, 5. 5 red heifers. Can't believe I'm actually looking at the red heifers.
Ideas and teachings and beliefs are meeting reality at Shiloh, because for over 1,000 and some years, the red heifer has just been an idea. Now it's a reality.
It's a reality.
So people start thinking, now that it's a reality, what's next? So it makes people rethink what they've been taught, what they believe, and I say, hey, that's what they're here for. So we'll see what happens next.
Okay, so many Christians, let's see if I can get this straight, believe the temple will be rebuilt in Israel. And before they can do that, they have to have the ashes of the red heifer to purify the altar to reinstate the sacrifices, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, this is the opportunity, these 5 for that.
Mm-hmm.
And you said some rabbis say maybe 2 of them can't.
Yeah, 2 of them don't qualify anymore.
So 2 are disqualified, but 3 remain. Pay close attention to this next part.
But you also said that somewhere, tell me more about that, Moses hid some ashes?
Yes, if you read Numbers 19, where it talks about the red heifer, he says that some to use, some to put into a safe place. Well, according to Jewish writings, history, tradition, the idea was, because you can read it in one of the other Mishnayot, that there was the original ashes. Well, okay, I'll go back a ways. The idea there have been 9 heifers burned so far.
Wow.
But whenever there be a new one burned, it always mixes the previous one in with the new one.
Okay.
All the way through.
Okay.
So the idea is, according to Jewish tradition, is that if there is a new red heifer today, it would be, some would say, there's different opinions, it's not necessary, but if we would have the very original ones from Moses' time, that would be mixed in with the new ones, it would follow tradition.
Wow.
So all I'm saying is, it's interesting after these couple thousand years, personally, in the mornings, I'm involved down at Qumran using the copper scroll, and it describes, and I had to write a sign of non-disclosure paper, so I can't say everything, but what I can say is that we uncovered a cave that nobody even knew existed before using the copper scroll. The copper scroll says on the north side of this cave, dig 3 cubits, and there is the container of their original ashes. So that's where we are right now.
So you can't tell me that you found them?
No.
Okay.
They found the old ashes, but they don't want to make that public yet. Their plan is to mix the original ashes with the ashes of these 3, but this is also why they are not panicking about doing the ceremony yet. From their perspective, in a worst-case scenario, they already do have ashes. That being said, they have absolutely no intention of not having this ceremony. I know they must have the ashes, but I don't know if they have to have the ceremony if they already have the original ashes. Either way, I'm confident they have zero intention of starting this 3rd temple without performing this ceremony.
These are the red heifers in 2025. As you can see, they are no longer small. They have matured and are now old enough to be sacrificed. But why has the sacrifice not taken place yet? What went wrong? Let me explain. There have been ongoing discussions about the potential sacrifice of a red heifer in March or early April 2025. As the heifers imported from Texas in 2022 have reached the required age for the ritual sacrifice. According to Jewish tradition, a red heifer must be at least 2 years old, but preferably around 3 years old, to be eligible for the purification ceremony. There were plans to sacrifice one of these heifers around Passover in 2025. If the red heifer sacrifice does not take place during Passover 2025, there are other possible occasions in Judaism when it could be performed. Some discussions suggest that the sacrifice could be postponed to a later Jewish holiday or a significant religious event. One alternative could be Shavuot, which occurs in late May or early June. This holiday commemorates the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai and is associated with purification and renewal, making it a potential candidate for the ritual. Another possibility is Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, which takes place in the fall. This festival has historical connections to temple rituals and could be seen as an appropriate time for the sacrifice. Jews have prepared everything for the construction of the 3rd temple. Many people believe that it could be built in less than a week if they were permitted to do so. However, the most difficult challenge they currently face is that Al-Aqsa Mosque sits where the 1st and 2nd temples once stood. Some Muslims believe that Jews plan to rebuild the 3rd temple after demolishing Al-Aqsa Mosque and, of course, after performing the red heifer ceremony. That is why Muslims around the world closely watch for when the red heifer ceremony will take place.
Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, is Monday, October 6th through Monday, October 13th this year, which is 12 days after the Feast of Trumpets. I'm sure upon hearing that, your mind went to exactly where mine went. The fear, panic, and chaos the world will be in just 12 days after the rapture would be the perfect time for this ceremony. On the one hand, the time for delay would certainly be over in every Jew's eyes. I'm sure much of the world would also see this as a good thing at that point. Now, I'm not saying this is for sure how it's going to happen, but at the same time, I think this is a very real possibility. And there is another thing to think about too. What about the Al-Aqsa Mosque? Well, do you remember the news out of Saudi Arabia just a couple of months ago? The Saudis are saying the Temple Mount belongs to Israel, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque is not really in Jerusalem, but rather in Mecca. Not only do the Saudis have the political power to make this happen now that Iran has been defanged, but they are going to. Not only that, but Israel and Saudi Arabia have been working very closely together since the Abrahamic Accords were signed in 2020. So, if secret construction is indeed happening right now on the Third Temple, it's far more likely that Israel isn't just doing this because they hope they can pull it off. They are doing it because it has been planned out, and the plan is now underway. It's also highly likely that just as October 7th was Iran and its proxies attempt to destroy Israel and use the red heifer ceremony as the excuse, I think Isaiah 17 will happen because Iran wants revenge, and the temple will now be the excuse for that. And we all know what happens after that. The Feast of Trumpets is 10.5 weeks away, roughly 2.5 months. 12 days after is the Feast of Tabernacles, the last window this year for the red heifer ceremony. I don't know if this is it, but it sure does seem like it. Far more than it ever has before.
If the focus is so much on the Third Temple, and that's where most Christians would say, well, the Third Temple is being built, and then the Antichrist and all kinds of things like that. That's why I say ideas, beliefs, and teachings are becoming a reality here, because it could change the whole picture now.